I've had a lot of desk setups, both here at home, in my old apartment, when I was living on my parents' house, and in offices. I've played around and I've experimented with a lot of different ways to structure your desk, to structure your workspace in general. And whilst this current setup that I'm about to show you isn't exactly a minimalist setup per se, it's certainly not overkill, and I think this is by far the most functional desk setup that I've had so far. So starting off with the desk itself, I decided to go for a standing desk. Now there are two reasons why I decided to go for a standing desk. One is fairly obvious. I wanted to be able to stand up when I wasn't doing any tasks that were too time intensive or too mind intensive or anything like that. So things like writing emails, things like planning out scripts, anything like that, I wanted to stand up whilst doing that. And the second thing was, because this is a very small office, I thought ergonomically it made a lot more sense. I went for the black surface and the gray legs, mainly because it would suit my Mac Studio and my silver computer monitor thing that I've got going on here as well. Moving on to the desk mat, I knew that I wanted to have a big desk mat, mainly because I like to drink coffee on my desk a lot, and because I edit videos for a living. A lot of times my mouse kind of ends up over here if I'm on After Effects or whatnot, so having as much space as possible to move around my mouse was pretty, important to me. The computer I'm currently using is the Mac Studio M1 Max. Now, as I mentioned previously, I'm a professional video editor, and the M1 honestly hasn't been giving me any issues, so I really haven't felt any need to upgrade. Now, having said that, I am looking into investing into a laptop, not to replace the Studio, but just to have as a companion, specifically for traveling, or if I want to work on the couch or edit, not necessarily in the office if I want to go to a coffee shop. I do feel like the Studio is a little bit restricting. It's super good at what it does, and it's a fantastic piece of kit, and it's a great machine, but I do really like the versatility and the convenience of having a laptop at the same time. So that is something I'm looking to add to my editing arsenal. I've got that attached to the Apple Studio display. Honestly, the monitor is fantastic. It is so nice to work with. The colors are phenomenal. Is it worth the price? Honestly, I think it really depends on what you do for a living, and it depends on what you're gonna be using it for. If you're somebody like me who edits a lot of videos, who color grades, who does graphic design, who does anything that really needs the colors and who needs that kind of quality, I actually do think it's very much worth it. If you're not, and you're doing mostly things that don't necessarily need, high color definition or anything around those sort of lines, and you're using a monitor mostly just to have a bit of a bigger screen, I wouldn't recommend this. But then again, it really does depend on budget. I'm really lucky to be able to afford a setup like this, and I'm fully aware of that. But I do feel like, once you can kind of get over the price tag, and when you start using it and you start realizing how good it is, it does get a little bit hard to go back. My keyboard of choice is the Keychron Q1 Pro. Now, the main reason I switched to this is I really wanted a mechanical keyboard. I just wanted the sound. I wanted something that just felt nicer when I'm writing a script or I'm editing a video or anything around those lines. I feel like the Mac keyboards are fantastic and they do the job wonderfully, but they just don't sound that great. I wanted something that sounded nice. I wanted something that had that kind of typewriter effect. I'm starting to really enjoy that kind of stuff. And I'm starting to enjoy analog things. I'm writing things down a lot more. I'm doing a lot more writing. I'm doing these videos here on YouTube. I'm basically using my office so much more, and I'm typing a lot. I wanted to have a typing experience that was more pleasant, and I also really like the customization options. I love the fact that you can change the color of the keys, that you have the volume knob on the top right. That's been really fun to use. It's just a more fun, pleasant keyboard to use as a whole. And I think Keychron are a fantastic company when it comes to mechanical keyboards for Mac specifically. I know there's tons of options for PC. When it comes to the Mac world, finding a mechanical keyboard was actually not that easy for me. So when I found Keychron and I saw the options that they had, and after using it for a whole year, I will never go back to any other type of keyboard. Okay, never say never. There might be, I don't know. But for now, I'm sticking with Keychron. The mouse I'm using is actually a gaming mouse. Now, funny story, I actually just bought this as a temporary mouse originally. I accidentally broke my Magic Mouse or Apple Mouse, one of those two. So I bought this one because it was fairly inexpensive on Amazon, and I just needed something temporary. This was 3.5 years ago, and I have not switched it, and I have not looked back. Honestly, I love this mouse. It is so smooth. It does everything I needed it to do. And I just don't really see the point in switching it. It just works. It does everything right, and it feels really good. It doesn't feel particularly sturdy. That's my one complaint. It does feel quite plasticky, but that does come within, the price tag. But for everything that it does, it still works. Charges perfectly fine. Super long battery life. I mean, you only have to charge this thing like once every 2 months, and it just works. It does everything it's supposed to do, and it looks really good on the desk as well. So I'm sticking with it. So moving away from the digital side of things for a second, I keep a notebook on my desk at all times. And one thing that I would highly recommend every single person watching this video to go ahead and get is a nice pen. Now, please don't just click off this video and just think, why am I talking about pen? Honestly, I never used to write anything. You know, I used to be very much, you know, Notion, put everything on a calendar and just kind of work digitally. The older I get, the more I want to go a little bit more analog. Obviously, I'm fully aware that you have to stay with digital for a lot of different things. But things like writing your to-do list down or journaling, I've been getting into journaling recently, and anything that I can do to write down on a piece of paper feels a lot better. A, to cross off. I love checking off my to-do list. I love looking at my tasks for the day and just seeing what I've done, what I haven't done. I just feel like it's a lot easier to maintain track of, that is. And having a nice pen actually makes me want to write more. It makes me want to pick up my notebook. When I was just having those, you know, cheap pens and whatnot, there's nothing exciting about it. Whereas having a pen that actually feels good, feels nice to write and feels fun to, you know, play with. And I have ADHD, so I always have to play with things. You know, I got the Bolt Action Pen because it's fun. And it actually makes the writing experience, I know it sounds weird, but it does make the writing experience a lot more fun. So having a nice pen on your desk, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Something that feels nice to hold, feels nice to write with. And if you have ADHD like me and you like fiddling with things, it's great. And obviously with the pen, I have a notebook that stays on my desk at all times. That's mainly my to-do list, but I kind of write down random ideas and whatnot. It's just nice to sometimes put my ideas on paper versus always putting it on the computer. Considering the fact that I do so much on my computer, the more I can do away from that and my phone, like honestly at this point, the better. And this moves me on to the iPad. And honestly, you know, for a while, it wasn't being used all that much. I kind of use it as a second monitor sometimes, but don't really do that anymore because I just prefer using one monitor. But recently, I've actually been using it to upload everything on my Instagram, check on my YouTube. I don't have the Instagram app or the YouTube app or any social media on my phone anymore because I'm trying to stay away from all that in my day-to-day life. I just have a real problem with looking at things and getting very disappointed by how little likes I get, to be completely honest, and it just wasn't good for me, and I just didn't want to be spending that much time on my phone, especially looking at things that aren't relevant. So actually having the apps on my iPad has really been a game changer for me because I can just upload straight to Instagram. I can just airdrop everything from my Mac Studio to my iPad and just upload my photos, upload my videos. I'll upload obviously my YouTube videos on the main computer. That's less of an issue. But if I want to look at my analytics or if I want to check anything social media related, I actually have to go through a little bit more effort and use the iPad instead of my phone. So that's sort of been really where the iPad has come in handy for me. Is it something that I can't live without? No, it's not. But I do feel like when I have my laptop, I don't see the iPad being used all that much. And that's just me being entirely honest. It's not a bad piece of kit. I think it's a really cool piece of kit. I don't use it as much as I thought I would. So I don't necessarily regret buying it, but do I need it? Probably not. Having said that, I did buy a keyboard attachment for it because, like I said, I like to go to a cafe, or if I want to go sit on the couch or anything like that, write ideas on Notion, go for my plans, write an email, whatever. It is also very useful for that at the same time. So there's definitely a plus to it, but I think, like I said, once I get a laptop, I don't really see myself using the iPad all that much. Another thing I've been getting really in the habit of using are blue light glasses. And this is mainly because a lot of my time, I'm a little bit of a night owl, so I like to edit at night and it just, you know, less strain on my eyes. And, you know, I'm looking at a screen a lot. So I've heard that it's good for your eyes and it's good for your brain and it doesn't impact your sleep all that much. So I've been using it. Another thing I like to have on my desk is a deck of cards. Like I said earlier, it's again, kind of the same concept as a pen in terms of I have ADHD, and when I'm waiting for a render, I just like shuffling the cards and throwing things around, and I don't know, just having little things to play with on the desk is nice. I used to have actually a lot more than this on one of my previous things. I used to have, like, you know, those fidget spinners, and I don't like to have too many toys or anything that's not really work related on my desk anymore, except for this little Lego card, which I just keep for, you know, decorative purposes only. But, you know, I do like having at least one or two little objects that aren't work related because, you know, I like to relax and not only think about, you know, editing and working and all that kind of stuff. I like to switch it up a little bit. And the last and probably favorite item on my desk is this monitor lamp. For me, the monitor lamp has been such a game changer. It puts so much strain off of your eyes. I think it looks really aesthetic as well. And it's just one of those things where now I don't have to turn on any other lights in the room. All I have to do is turn on the monitor lamp and I'm good to go. And that's it. That's the entire desk. That's all I keep on here. It never really changes and I'm very happy with it. And so does my cat. She loves it too. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will be seeing you guys in the next one.